Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 in Flux. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about movies because that's what we do. Old movies, sometimes classics, sometimes B movies, and sometimes Godzilla sequels because that's a consistent thing that we do.
Yeah, it is.
Doing one a month. This is the third one. This is King Kong versus Godzilla from 1962. So, bit of a hate. It's from the last movie because the last movie was 1955. So, I had a bit of a
Hmm.
break. Uh,
Reevaluate what they wanted to do with the franchise.
Aye, or the second one didn't make that much money, and then they went, "Oh wait a minute, King Kong, that'll be a hit,"
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
exactly.
and then it made money, and then we started getting them
You
every
say
year,
that, but
sometimes
that
twice a year.
the movie itself is very meta in that sense.
Mm, yeah, that's true. That's true. Uh, so I think I won't bother giving you a spoiler-free section. I think we'll just start talking about it. I don't know if there's much point in a spoiler-free
It's
section.
King Kong versus Godzilla. What is there to spoil?
Exactly, especially in a 50-plus-year-old movie at this point. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the film. It's obviously it's an old school Japanese monster movie, much like the last couple. Well, maybe this was the first one, but much like the last one, where it's two guys in suits fighting around miniatures and toy cars and toy trains and
Hmm.
things happen. Uh, so the main plot of this one is that a TV station in Japan is having really bad ratings for its science show,
Yes.
and the sort of the guy who's running the show, Mr. Taco or Mr. Takeo, he he hears from one of his scientists about an island, which is essentially Skull Island, but they don't call it that. They have another name for it, but
Hmm.
it's a Skull Island,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, there's a monster there. So he has this bright idea: if we can get this monster back, we can use this on our show, and we'll get ratings. How he plans to do any of this, like logistically speaking, once they get it back to the mainland, what they're going to do with it, I don't know.
It becomes their sponsor.
Apparently it does, although I mean, we don't really get a chance to see how that works because obviously chaos ensues and then the
Yeah,
movie
well,
ends and it goes
you've got to have a
back.
mascot, haven't you?
Uh, uh, so he sends his two main men. The main one being Sakurai, who kind of is probably the closest we have to a protagonist. His sister's a pretty. His sister and her husband are kind of main characters as well, but he's the kind of one at the core of all, where everyone kind of spins out. The characters are all very comical. It's a very light-hearted movie when it comes to the characters. There's a lot of
Yeah.
sort of silly comedy that goes on between the characters. But they set off for Skull Island. They meet the natives. They see a squid monster. They meet King Kong. They eventually bring it back. Meanwhile, Godzilla's in an iceberg, and it's actually an American submarine that hits into the iceberg, which actually I thought was a nice little touch. That it's a Japanese team that encounters Godzilla, and it's an American team that
Yeah.
King Kong, sorry, and then it's an American team that encounter Godzilla. Like I like that they switched them.
Flips it nicely, doesn't it?
That was a nice touch. The Americans kind of just drop out of the movie though after Godzilla appears.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like in that first section. There's English dialogue in this one,
Yeah,
and then oh, never mind, that's gone.
yeah, it's just gone pretty quickly. But it was at least a nice touch to set things up.
Yeah.
And from there we have some monster antics. We have Godzilla stepping on trains, and we have when Kong eventually gets back, he starts doing all sorts of things, and but they fight. They fight they have a small fight at first. Kong gets his ass kicked. It
Yep.
seems like he can't do
Just
much.
just some atomic breath puts him down on it.
Yeah, as it should. And then later on in the film, they manage to knock out Kong. One of the big plot points in the movie is that Kong can go to sleep. Like there's a method to putting him to sleep. So they put him to sleep, and then they use balloons to make him travel to Mount Fuji, where that's where Godzilla just happens to be at this moment in time. And then they have their big fight at the end, which goes on for
Yeah.
a good 10 minutes, and has some good highlights in that one. Actually, there's some good moments in
Mm.
that final fight. And the movie ends, and that's kind of the gist of it. Did you enjoy King Kong versus Godzilla, Connor?
Yeah, it was fun.
I would concur with this. It was fun. It was not a good film necessarily, but it was fun.
No, I think the closer it gets to being good is the meta awareness. Like the marketing guy is the one that goes, "Hey, versus, we could use that. That'll
Yeah,
sell." And that's kind of very aware of what it is.
yeah, it does that, and that's kind of I like the goofiness of the fight. There's some we'll talk about some of the highlights in the fights as well, but I like the characters aren't too serious. There's a kind of humor to them. Like
Mm.
for example, the marketing guy at the TV station who's like done all this, and when he hears that the two guys are bringing back Kong. Like Kong after fighting the giant squid, which looked cool. I liked the big octopus thing. Like that was a really cool monster.
I liked it when you looked at it, when it was kind of from its point of view. You know, where you were on its side and the tentacles were going out. I thought they looked a bit ropey.
Oh, sure. I liked how slimy it was, though. And it was kind of going over the toy houses and stuff. And it was kind of cool. But Kong beats that. It was a nice reference to that in the new Kong film, actually, because he fights a big octopus like type thing in that. But that was fun. So he goes to sleep. He drinks some of the local local beverage.
Alcoholic berries, by the look of it.
Yeah. He gets knocked out, and they put him on a raft. Apparently he sleeps for a long time because they're like almost back to Japan by the time he starts to wake up. He's on this raft. But yeah, adding to the humour, like the TV station guy like flies out on a helicopter. He puts on this ridiculous explorer's outfit with a little first aid kit like strapped to him and the hat and all the rest of it. Gets dropped onto the ship via helicopter, and then he almost accidentally like leans on the plunger like twice. And the second time is particularly funny because the first time he puts his hand on it and like, oh no, don't do that.
And then he just looks terrified of it.
And he looks terrified of it, but then 3 seconds later he goes to lean on it, and then they have to shout out at the same time in unison, "No!" And it's pretty funny. There's a good slapsticky kind of goofiness to the characters, which kind of made it work. And they bring on some of the Kong characteristics. At one point, Sakurai's sister, Fumiko, like she ends up sort of in the mix of things, and Kong like picks her up, and it's kind of classic King Kong. He's kind of affectionate towards a female. Kind of idea, and that's there in the movie to a point, and it's just kind of there when they decide to put him to sleep. But yeah, so honestly, if I have a complaint as a Godzilla fan, as someone who prefers Godzilla over King Kong, because Kong kind of wins this fight. Ultimately, at the end of the movie, he wins.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I mean, they don't completely bury Godzilla. They say, he probably survived. He'll probably be back. And he was back.
But Kong does swim off victorious.
He does. My complaint with this is that he's a cheating little bitch. Right?
Godzilla, he uses his tools.
Godzilla has him beat fair and square, and then for some reason, magically in this movie, he gets struck by lightning, and he has Speed Force powers.
Yeah, pretty much. Where does this come from? It's like he's charged up like a battery then, and like he can let out the shock whenever he wants. It's not just while the lightning's on him and it passes through him.
His punch now has sparks to it. Whenever he connects a punch, there's like electricity happening between them. They kind of set it up early on because he's walking into some power lines and he kind of takes a bit of a charge. But this is just added for this movie. This is bullshit. They've just given him this extra power because they knew Godzilla was too powerful.
Yeah, they had to even the scales somehow.
Bullshit. Bollocks. Kong cheated. This is not a proper victory. Godzilla reigns supreme. King of monsters, thank you very much.
How pissed off will you be if in the new one he just uses lightning fists to win?
It won't happen. Because the new one, what they're going to do is it's going to be like a superhero movie. They're going to fight it first, and then they're going to team up. Yeah. Because they've both been portrayed as heroes in the new movies. So
yeah.
Whereas here in this movie, Godzilla is still seen as a villain. That doesn't last for too much longer, I don't think. I think there's another one or two where he's still a villain. I'm pretty sure as soon as King Ghidorah shows up, it's not. Godzilla's a good one. Ghidorah's the bad guy. The final fight's quite fun. King Kong hides from Godzilla and grabs his tail, and there's at one point he does a roll. He's a bit of an idiot though, because he actually hits his head. He rolls past Godzilla and then hits his head on the mountain or the rocks or whatever, and Godzilla tries to bury him alive with rocks. He tries to, and then he actually taunts him. He turns around and just starts whacking him with his tail, like up and down.
Yeah,
it's pretty amusing. I feel really bad. At one point they get a building in between them, and they start just kind of just wrecking the building. Yeah, they're just wrecking the building for almost no reason. It's almost like they're like slap fighting like that, but there's a building in between them, so the building's just crumbling, and it's just like, oh well.
Kind of feels like, hang on, we've brought them out to the middle of nowhere for this final fight. We need some building.
Yeah, pretty much. So
that's probably one of my bigger problems. I don't think the building models were as good as the previous film.
No, I don't think they were either. I mean, even though Raids Again wasn't great, I mean, we did talk about why that wasn't that great. The actual fight in the city was good. Like the actual fight between the monsters in the city looked good.
Yeah, I mean that was in black and white, right? That second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if it's the addition of color, like
it may be
this one that's making it pop out a bit more obviously fake.
It may be. The buildings weren't a huge deal for me. I think what was bothering me more with the miniature work was the tanks and like the trains. They were very. They were basically toys. They didn't even feel like proper miniatures. Because you can have better looking miniatures. Like look at any movie pre-90s that's got a spaceship in it. That's a miniature, and they look good.
Yeah. They were just toys, but I was kind of excusing them because I feel like that was consistent with the previous movie, where I feel like we said that last time as well. Whereas the buildings were actually much better before.
Yeah, but the last time it almost stuck out more because there was like a little toy soldier next to one of the tanks.
That
it was
is
meant to be a person. Whereas here, at least, they seem to avoid that. It's just like, no, it's just the vehicle. You don't see anything else. So yeah, that kind of drug it down a little bit. One thing I was noticing a little bit more in this one is they were doing a kind of worse job of hiding, like, because water and fire are kind of troublesome. Because you can't shrink them down, or you can't make them, like, water's going to look the correct size, if you will, no matter what you do to it.
Yeah.
You can't fake that it's actually smaller things, but it's made it look bigger. And there was a few times where it was like the waves were clearly, like the size of what the actual waves were, not corresponding to what the miniature was meant to have them be, if that makes sense. Same with fire.
Those big tidal waves almost.
Yeah. Same with fire. You can't kind of fake the size of a flame. A flame's a flame to a point. Yeah. And there was kind of some of that where it was sticking out a bit more. Maybe color is the reason why it sticks out more than it was before, but it was a touch.
Costume, obviously the Godzilla costume's the same, but the Kong one, it was pretty good. Apart from the mouth when he was drinking was kind of a bit,
Actually, my bigger problem with the Godzilla, the Kong costume is actually the hands. See, when he was beating his chest, the hands just looked like they were flopping around. It didn't feel like there was anything in them.
All right.
It was like the guy's hands only got to, like, so far up the arm, and then the hands were just kind of floppy.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of
small complaints, You
go into these movies and you know you're getting the sort of goofier, like, sort of guy in costume style.
Yeah, you do. I just feel like we judged the Godzilla costume. We talked about the eyes.
I think the other problem with this is that because it's too humanoid-esque kind of beings, whereas when we get to Ghidorah and it's like 3 long necks and you can tell there's puppeteering going on and it makes it a lot more intricate and there's a lot more, and it's different from Godzilla, so it makes it a lot more fun when the monsters get a bit more different and they have different styles, or it's something that flies or it's something that does this, whereas so even the last movie with Anguirus, it was a different type of monster. It was something that was on all fours, kind of spiky back.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas, so Kong should not have won.
No, absolutely not.
No, he should not have won. He should have got his ass kicked. And I feel like this was probably, because obviously Kong's owned by like an American company, I feel like part of the agreement to let them use Kong to make this movie was
Kong has to win.
Yeah, he's going to win.
Yeah.
And they sucked it up and went, yeah, okay. But
yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? They were looking at this going, still get plenty of money.
I'm more of a Godzilla fan, so I would have rather.
I am too.
But as far as the character stuff goes, I will say that despite the fact that there is a build to the stuff actually happening, Kong probably doesn't appear until maybe a third into the movie, maybe just over a third. But all the build up with because the characters were kind of goofy and they're going to this island, and it was so sort of ill advised. It was like, you guys are screwed. Like, you're gonna get stomped on.
Yeah.
What's your plan here?
And give all the local children cigarettes.
Yeah, that's what they batter with, because none of them speak the language. So they're...
I mean, I'd buy that. I'd buy it. I go, hey, have some cigarettes. But it was when the kid was like, oh, can I have one? And they were like, maybe we shouldn't. And they're like, screw it, have one anyway.
60s. Characters were okay. They're not great. They're not like the first movie, obviously, but they were likable enough. Like, I think the big problem you had with Godzilla Raids again is the characters were really not that interesting, and their plot was they were trying to make it feel like a serious plot, and nothing would have anything to do with the actual main monster stuff. It would just go into their own subplot about them getting married or whatever. Whereas here, it never felt like that. It was always about him going off to do this for his company, and it was always related to what was going on. Yeah,
and like you say, they were fun with like the dynamites plunge a bit. Like when he goes and has dinner with his sister and her husband. He's like, hey, his steak's bigger than mine.
Yeah, it was funny, but even that scene was still setting up.
Yeah, it was. I'm about to go off on this thing.
He's talking about that. It sets up these other characters, so we care about him in the movie. There's some stakes later on when his sister's in trouble. but it doesn't. We don't get these weird subplots, and even when we do see her in her own scenes later on, she's worried about her brother or her husband. She's concerned about the people who are being directly affected. I mean, we could obviously talk about how it's very traditional, and the woman's the damsel, and she's worried about the men who are off dealing with the actual problem. But ignoring that, like
that's another one where the answer is 60s.
Yeah, but like in terms of serving the plot and serving the drama of what's going on, everything served that. Nothing was just a subplot for the sake of having a subplot.
It always played into the monster narrative instead of whatever the last one decided to do.
That was the other thing that really bugged us about the last one, though, is it had a really weird time in the structure. Like, it was like the 20 minutes before the final 10 went off on a tangent, and then it came back to Godzilla for the last 10, 15 or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was a really weird time in the movie to do it. At least if it was in the first act, I would be like, okay, you're making us care.
Building, yeah.
But it was a really weird time in the movie to do it. Whereas this was fairly well structured, I thought, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
I would argue maybe about 10 minutes too long. Maybe could have trimmed things here or there. Yeah. It felt like once they got Kong and Godzilla both in Japan, after the first fight, I couldn't even really tell you what went on for like 15 minutes until...
There's kind of a blur until they meet again, isn't it?
There's a lot of army generals talking to like the TV guy and stuff, and I don't really know what was going on in those scenes.
Yeah. When I think about it, I go from their first fight to them, drugging him and putting Kong to sleep.
Yeah, which they left him with balloons, by the way, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's fantastic. These big giant balloons, they carry him directly with the helicopters.
Yes, and then Kong wakes up when he's almost there. Again, it's when he's almost there. Luckily, it's not like halfway there. He's
he
almost
definitely
there.
Doesn't sleep as long this time.
Nah, and he's sort of like, what's going on? He's like, and he's trying to get out of all the. He's almost like a big puppet at this point because all the strings from the balloons are carrying him. It's fun. It's a goofy good time. I wouldn't rate it too highly. And there's certainly ones from later on that I've seen that I like more, but I can't deny this one is mostly fun. I think maybe it fails just a touch because it maybe treats it more like a King Kong movie than it does a Godzilla movie. Despite the fact that it's set in Japan, it's about going to find Kong. It's about bringing Kong back. He's kind of the plot now. Godzilla just happens to wake up and be around for when he gets back.
To be fair, it is King Kong versus Godzilla.
Again, I feel like that was probably a mandate from, you want the rights? Kong goes first.
Quite possibly, but I'm just saying, in the movie's defense of, it's a King Kong movie, like you say. He is the first build.
I wonder who's going to be first build in this new one.
I'd say Godzilla just because he came first.
He better be. He's the better of the two, so he better get first build.
Unless they go on box office and which one performed better. Which one do we think is the bigger draw?
I think Godzilla. Well, I mean, Kong's still in theaters, so it's hard to say with any definitive. But I think it's on track for Godzilla to have made a bit more.
We're safe then.
I think Godzilla sounds better going first. Godzilla versus King Kong.
Yeah.
It's because...
But is that just because you're used to so many Godzilla versus movies?
It might be, but I think it's also because King Kong, it feels like it's two words, right? So it feels like a more ending of the sentence.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So Godzilla versus King Kong just sounds better to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's not really the point of this video, is it?
Well, no, it's not. What do you want from me?
I don't know, some structure.
Structure. We talked about structure.
We did, actually.
So shut up.
Touche.
No, that's just pretty much it. It's got some... The fights are fun. The individual stuff is fun. Because Godzilla has the bit with the train. And like I kind of like seeing the stuff where Japan's kind of like used to Godzilla at this point, where like, okay, Godzilla's coming, we have an early warning system, and the guy in the train, the conductor says, like, Godzilla's coming, we all have to evacuate the train, and they all start running off.
Yeah, but it's like they've had drills for this now. Yeah,
like it's like a slightly more experienced Japan. And I like going back to the characters, I like the humour of the TV guy being annoyed when Godzilla shows up. It's like, we're just going to have King Kong and Godzilla's taking all these headlines, what are we going to do?
Yeah. I do think that is this movie's best strength. It's very aware of the humour of it all.
Yeah, it is. And I think some of the ones I like from later on are a little less humorous, but they have really good like villain monsters. Like King Ghidorah is a really good menacing monster that Godzilla has to fight and stuff like that. And I think maybe early on in these movies they do suffer a little bit from they keep just being the monsters around the city, and there's not much more of a. Whereas later on we get like aliens are controlling one monster and they're trying to take over the Earth, and there's more to the plot. Whereas right now it's still just there's monsters and they're going to fight.
Which is why I think it works that this one is humorous, because it knows that it's got to make up for something that's not there, even if it doesn't know exactly what yet.
Yes, so that's King Kong versus Godzilla. What would you rate it out of the 10?
I'll give it a 6.
That's what I'd also give it. I'd give it a 6. An enjoyable 6.
Yeah.
Goofy, silly, but I had a smile on my face. So
definitely.
Until
King Kong won.
Until King Kong won, in which case I was swearing.
That might have got up to a 6.5 if he'd lost.
Yeah. If Godzilla had won it may have been a higher score. I'll admit that. And I need to buy a new TV because I broke the TV. I smashed the TV. So. Alright, so that's King Kong vs. Godzilla. Let us know what you think of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. Helps us out a lot. Get us on Twitter, mailed_first for channel updates. Individual Twitters, I'm at Wibble89. Connor's at ConnorRyan94 if you want to hear us ramble about whatever. Occasionally Godzilla and stuff like that. But that's us, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.